In 1938, in response to the potential crisis of a major war, Britain launched a new tank development program, which included the A13 Crusader cruiser tank. The project was highly regarded by the British Military High Command as having the most potential for development. However, its actual performance was very poor and it quickly ended early in the Second World War. The A13 cruiser tank had a very different design concept from previous British tanks. It not only incorporated Christie suspension technology, but also introduced design concepts to reduce the frontal profile of the vehicle. According to the British design, the A13 was envisioned as a cruiser tank that balanced mobility and firepower, capable of swiftly maneuvering on the battlefield, much like ancient cavalry, flanking and intercepting enemy forces or pursuing fleeing enemies. Compared to the older tanks such as the A9 cruiser tank that used spring suspension, the A13 utilized a walking configuration with 4 pairs of large-diameter bogies and Christie suspension, with the rear 2 pairs of bogies positioned closer together, greatly improving off-road mobility. The tank's power was a major consideration for the designers, and to enhance power while lowering the engine's height, the A13 used a horizontally opposed 12-cylinder gasoline engine, with an output of 340 horsepower, which was quite powerful for the pre-war era. With the new power source and walking mechanism, the tank could reach a speed of 48 km per hour. Moreover, the horizontally opposed engine effectively reduced the height, so the tank did not increase its frontal profile area despite the power increase. The armor protection concept was somewhat similar to the T-34 medium tank, and the British military only required moderate firepower, needing only to install a QF 2-pounder gun and at least one auxiliary machine gun, which was barely adequate for the early stages of World War II and not considered too poor. Although the A13 looked good on paper, its actual use was a completely different story, as the main problem was its delicate power system. Although the horizontally opposed engine reduced the height, it was not small in length or width. To prevent an increase in the vehicle's height, the cooling structure, which should have been placed together with the power unit, was moved to the front of the vehicle, resulting in a cooling pipeline crossing the vehicle. As soon as the engine started running, the cooling structure began to work, continuously dissipating heat into the fighting compartment. If it wasn't for the cold winter, the temperature inside the fighting compartment could easily reach 40 degrees. This design of running the heater really made it difficult for the crew members, and they could easily get heatstroke at any moment. While it might be acceptable in the relatively cool climates of Western or Northern Europe, it was unbearable in the hot North African battlefield. Furthermore, this separate cooling structure reduced the cooling efficiency, resulting in frequent mechanical failures, and the planetary steering system was also not very reliable. With the outbreak of World War II, Britain gradually realized that the 30mm thick steel armor of the A13 could not withstand anti-tank gun attacks. Due to the limitations of the vehicle design, additional armor could only increase the protection thickness to 40mm, which was close to the limit. As such, a cruiser tank with poor reliability and armor and firepower that only reached the level of a light tank was clearly outdated shortly after the outbreak of World War II, unable to compete with the German Panzer III, and facing a large number of German infantry divisions equipped with the PaK-36 anti-tank gun without much confidence. These A13 cruiser tanks never had the opportunity to leave the British mainland, and were soon replaced by the A15 Crusader cruiser tank. Those A13 tanks that remained in Britain were used for training purposes within the armored forces, and they did play a certain role.